Hello, everybody. Kurt Rish here, and thank you for joining me on One Shepherd. So, today we are continuing with the reading of the New Testament, the book of James, chapter 5. Come now, you rich, weep and howl for your miseries that are coming upon you. Your riches are corrupted, and your garments are moth-eaten. Your gold and silver are corroded, and their corrosion will be witness against you, and will eat your flesh like fire. You have heaped up treasure in the last days. Indeed, the wages of the laborers who mowed your fields, which you kept back by fraud, cry out, and the cries of the reapers have reached the ears of the Lord of the Sabbath. You have lived on the earth in pleasure and luxury. You have fattened your hearts as in the day of slaughter. You have condemned, you have murdered the just. He does not resist you. We do have a word study here, guys. The word study is Lord of Sabbath, and that is Kyrios Sabbath. Strong's Concordance numbers 2962 and 4519. The name means Lord of Hosts, the Lord of Armies, or the Master of Creation. It is suitable for James to use this familiar Old Testament title in a letter to the Jewish Christians, for they would have understood that the choice of this particular name of God was especially appropriate in this context. The rich oppress the poor because they think no one will stand up for them. But the Lord of all hosts of heaven and earth is their defender, and he is coming back to make all things right. All right, continuing with verse 7. Therefore be patient, brethren, until the coming of the Lord. See how the farmer waits for the precious fruit of the earth, waiting patiently for it until it receives the early and latter rain. You also be patient. Establish your hearts, for the coming of the Lord is at hand. Do not grumble against one another, brethren, lest you be condemned. Behold, the judge is standing at the door. My brethren, take the prophets who spoke in the name of the Lord as an example of suffering and patience. Indeed, we count them blessed who endure. You have heard of the perseverance of Job, and seen the end intended by the Lord, that the Lord is very compassionate and merciful. But above all, my brethren, do not swear, either by heaven or by earth, or with any other oath, but let your yes be yes, and your no be no, lest you fall into judgment. Is anyone among you suffering? Let him pray. Is anyone cheerful? Let him sing psalms. Is anyone among you sick? Let him call for the elders of the church, and let him pray over him, anointing him with oil of the Lord. And the prayer of faith will have the sick, and the Lord will raise him up. And if he has committed sins, he will be forgiven. Confess your trespasses to one another, and pray for one another that you may be healed. The effective, fervent prayer of a righteous man avails much. Elijah was a man with nature like ours, and he prayed earnestly that it would not rain, and it did not rain on the land for 3 years and 6 months. And he prayed again, and the heaven gave rain, and the earth produced its fruit. We do have another word study here. The word is anointing. The Greek word here is alipho. This is Strong's Concordance number 218. The Greek word for alipho was commonly used in Greek literature to describe a medicinal anointing. Another Greek word, kreo, was used to describe a sacramental anointing. The distinction is still observed in modern Greek, with alipho meaning to daub or to smear, and kreo meaning to anoint. Furthermore, oil was one of the most common medicines in biblical times. Thus, James was prescribing both prayer and medicine in this verse. Continuing with verse 19, Brethren, if anyone among you wanders from the truth, and someone turns back, let him know that he who turns a sinner from the error of his way will save a soul from death and cover a multitude of sins. Guys, that's it for our reading of James chapter 5, and actually wraps up our book of James. Thanks for joining us. Be sure to join us tomorrow as we begin our next book, which would be 1 Peter. And thank you, have a great day, and God bless.